Morning, guys. I am vlogging from my studio yet again, but this is actually something that I've planned. I just realized that while I was editing all my footage, well, I kind of knew this beforehand, I didn't say nearly enough about the countries while I was there because, first of all, there wasn't enough opportunity to actually talk about everything, and second, there's just so much. So I'm going to try to bring a few of those things back in here. I really don't think I'm going to be able to tell everything because the history of those two countries is just so rich. So I'm not going to pretend like I have successfully done so. Sorry for not saying enough information, but that's just the way it is. I'm actually going out of town again, which is crazy. Tomorrow I'm flying to Barcelona, then to Dublin, then to the United Kingdom. So obviously I will be vlogging. So I'm looking forward to that. Should be fun. Anyway, I figure we should get started. I'm going to go episode by episode and talk about basic things that I missed. Episode 1, When in China. Basic facts about Guangzhou, I guess I should mention, is that the urban spread with the surrounding cities, sometimes including the neighboring cities, Hong Kong and Macau. Without Hong Kong and Macau, the population of that whole huge urban area of multiple cities is 44 million people, and including Hong Kong and Macau, it's 54 million, which is just an insane number. And that would be the largest urban spread in the world. And three of my four grandparents were born in Guangzhou and the surrounding countryside. So when I flew over the city, staring out the window, I imagined that every village was my grandfather's because one of my grandfather's villages became an outskirt of the city, and then another one is out in the countryside. And my grandma, it's not quite known where she was born. Episode 2, Cambodia, at 97%, is the most heavily Buddhist country in the world. In the blessing we got, I don't remember all of it, but the guy talked about peace, happiness, and not having sex before marriage. And I didn't film, but tuk tuk rides are the best. They're pretty awesome. I got a good tuk tuk crew together with a few of the people on the trip. So that's fun. Episode 3, 20 minutes from Siem Reap. Sorry about not having the vlog footage because I was dumb and deleted it all and whatnot. But I believe inside the walled part of Angkor Thom, it's only 9 square kilometers, and that actually was once the largest city in the world with 1 million people. I assume not all living in the 9 square kilometers. That'd be a little ridiculous. Hindu temples had 3 levels: Hell, life on earth, and heaven. Siem Reap, the province, means the defeater of Thais after a military victory in the 1500s. But I thought it meant the defeater of time because that'd be pretty poetic with all the old temples still standing in this tradition. Sadly, it's not. Each of the temples were from around the year 1200, as I mentioned. Episode 4, Angkor Wat. What can I say? It was built in the 12th century by Suryavarman VII, and I told you that it was transformed to a Buddhist temple in the 15th century, but according to Wikipedia, it claims it's a 12th century thing. Then later that afternoon, we learned about education stats in Cambodia. It's crazy. Only 13% of teachers actually have a college education, which obviously does not bode well for the quality of education that the kids there receive. And half the schools there don't even have clean water. And yes, education is free, but teachers get paid so little that they have to ask their students for stipends and bribes often. So it adds up to about $100 a month, which is more than most families can afford. Khmer is such a hard language to learn. Apparently, it's like the hardest alphabet in the world to learn. Like 50% of students drop out by the end of high school. Alright, so here's a little segment that I've decided to include that I filmed a little bit earlier than the rest of this special episode. This segment, I basically got the idea for it from one of my friends who made a video introducing me. So there are a few people that I met that I didn't get to show on camera that I want to introduce you to. I've traveled the world reasonably extensively. I've been to 29 different countries, and I've always loved meeting the people. I think that's one of the most important and most powerful things about traveling. Later this week, I'm going to have a guy that I had as a safari guide in Botswana. He's actually going to be coming to visit here in LA, so that should be fun. But other than that, I haven't really kept in touch with anybody else over the course of my travels, and that's quite a shame, except for this trip. It's now June, so I've kept in touch with my friends Sakim Prayon and Sotirit Pach, and I plan on going to visit them in Cambodia at some point in my life. I don't know. I definitely will. I just don't know when. What I was originally going to do is I was originally going to call them up on Facebook Messenger and have them say hi for the vlog and introduce themselves a little bit there. But then I realized that there's a way more interesting and cool way to do things that we're going to try together. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to spin straight to Cambodia, and they're going to take over from there and introduce themselves. So, have fun.
Hello, my name is Suki. I'm 19 years old. I'm from Siem district, Siem province in Cambodia. I have one younger brother and one older sister. My parents, they are a farmer, and now I study in Panyastra University of Cambodia. And in the future, I want to be a good English teacher.
Episode 5. I'm going to miss this country. Bante Shrey, the temple I was at, was built in the 10th century. Then I'm going to talk briefly about the Cambodian genocide, which is pretty insane. I mean, it's a huge event in human history, so I'm not going to do it justice by what I'm talking about here. The communist regime known as the Khmer Rouge, led by Pol Pot, who was educated in Paris, decides to kill off all members of the former government and foreign governments. Shockingly, they killed 2 million people out of Cambodia's 8 million population between the years of 1975 and 1979. This succeeded the Cambodian Civil War, which happened from 1970 to 1975 and was basically communist versus. And during the Vietnam War, the U.S. bombed supply lines from North Vietnam to allies in the south, which ran through Cambodia and Laos. Cambodia, therefore, is the most bombed country with respect to land area. So in the country, there are millions of landmines, including along the border with Thailand. In 2016, I believe there are 87 casualties from landmines, and there's a worldwide effort to ban landmines. 162 countries have accepted the Ottawa Treaty, which is to ban landmines and clear all remaining ones from their countries. Cambodia obviously is making efforts, but there are just so many. There are millions, obviously, as I just said. Akira, a brave former child soldier, has a critical role in removing landmines and helping and adopting and educating landmine victims at the Landmine Museum, which is where we went that day. The wheelchair building, we actually did with a guy who was a double amputee and whose organization, the International Campaign to Ban Landmines, won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1997. We didn't quite understand him at first, but he had some interesting things to say about landmines. And I actually want to mention our guides here, Untak and Sarah. I believe they work with Ayana Tours, which works with Peaceworks Travels, and Untak actually became a popular name in Cambodia after the United Nations Transitional Authority Cambodia, which took over the country and ran democratic elections between 1992 and 1993. And from what I remember, Untak is 22 years old, which would mean he was born in 1994 and 1995, so fresh after the UNTAC. Episode 6. We're tipping. We're tipping. The river I now know is called the Chao Phraya River. Then Wat Arun was a Theravada Buddhist temple built in the 1600s. Thailand, with 95% of the population, is the second most heavily Buddhist country in the world. Wat Po is from the early 1700s. And the name of Bangkok actually is not just Bangkok. It's a really long name, the longest city name in the world. It is a sentence that involves the city of angels, just like Los Angeles. So the sentence is Krongthep Mahanakon Amon Rantanakosin Mahanthara Ayuthaya Mahadilok Pop Noparat Ratchatani Burirom Udom Ratchaniwet Mahasatan Amon Piman Awatan Satit Sakatatia Witsanukam Prasit, which is, I believe, 157 letters. Episode 7, Palatai and Chill. The Grand Palace has been the official residence of the King of Thailand since 1782 when it was constructed, and it's over 2 million square feet, which is absolutely crazy. Episode 8, The Jungle Vlog. I'm glad there's a photo slideshow because I had a lot of information in the narration, pretty much all the crucial information. Okay, so these guys were forced to become coffee farmers after the Thai government forced them to settle down. Highlights were doing karaoke with them, playing football keep away with the kids. We stayed with the chief of the village, Brandon and I, and they made us great noodle and ground meat dishes. It was fun eating rice out of the hollowed out bit of bamboo that they had. They cooked it in the bamboo and then gave it to me. So I don't know. Didn't taste very different, but it was kind of cool to eat it out of that. I wasn't the only person they tried to set up. There were a lot of like unmarried guys between my age, 16, and probably about 21, and they tried to marry off the girls in my group to those guys. Episode 9, Old Gold, Successful Business and Sold. So Wat Doi Sutemp is a Theravada Buddhist temple, and it was based off the legend of a monk who found a bone said to belong to Siddhartha Gautama, aka Buddha, which then broke. And while one piece went to another temple, half the bone was carried up the mountain by a white elephant who died at the spot of the temple. It was immediately ordered that the temple be constructed. It has aspects of Hinduism and Buddhism, with Buddhist statues and the Hindu god Ganesh. And then Wat Chetty Luang was originally built in the 14th through 15th century, but collapsed in an earthquake. I touched on that. And it was rebuilt in the 1990s by UNESCO and the Japanese government, although perhaps not in the same architectural style. It was perhaps reconstructed in more central Thai style as opposed to northern Thai. Episode 10, He's Coming Closer. I said that 70% of Thailand was flooded by those great floods, which seems really high to me. That's what I was told. Among Asian elephants, only the guys have tusks. Oh, and then Thai ice cream rolls. Even I actually went to get those on Friday, and they're tasty, and it's nice that I found them here in Los Angeles. So we're going to go again sometime. But the funny thing about that is it's like 3 times the price here, and it took twice as long. So that's Los Angeles for you. Episode 11, Ifa de Diffin. So I know I mentioned that the Buddha in Wat Phra Singh was the oldest Buddha in the world. It might be, or that could be in another temple, Wat Phra Matahat in Nakhon Si Thammarat, or it could be in the Bangkok National Museum. Wat Phra Singh was built starting in 1345. Episode 12, nothing I really have to talk about except for one thing. I said that both Cambodia and Thailand are among my 5 favorite countries in the world, and I'm brutally honest, so I'll list my favorite countries. 1 is the United States, 2 is Australia, 3 is Cambodia, 4 is Ethiopia, 5 is Taiwan, then 6 is Thailand. So I guess technically I lied, but like my favorite 10 countries are all so close together in terms of how I feel about them. I don't know. The difference between Thailand and Taiwan to me is very, very, very small. Also, I want to briefly talk about the music that I use since, yes, I posted like the names of the songs in the description and stuff, but I didn't actually get a chance to talk about, I guess, the songs. In episode 2, Welcome to Cambodia, I use a song called Memories from bensound.com, which is a place where you can get royalty music free of charge. Then in episode 3, which was a photo slideshow, obviously I needed a song. I went with Something Just Like This by Coldplay and the Chainsmokers. I just think it's pretty cool. Episode 4, I used a song from the vlogs of my favorite vlogger, the guy who inspired me to get into this, Yoon Olsen. Is a song called Holy Sunset by Simon Wood. Episode 5, I actually asked my Cambodian friends for their favorite Cambodian pop song, and they chose Dance Today by Miss Sok Sophia. Episode 6, actually, it's funny because when I was in chemistry class, my good friend Aaron Abraham just started playing a song of his on the speakers, and I thought it was great, so I used it. I'll post a link to his SoundCloud in the description. Check it out. That song is really good. Episode 8, the Jungle Vlog. I ended up using Endless Days by Fred G, again from the Yoon Olsen playlist. Episode 9, I took a song from a YouTube video that I had watched. It's a song by this guy named Pat Magada, and it's called Santa Cruz, and I'm a fan of that song. I really like it a lot. Episode 10, I used a song called Summer by Erling, again from the Yoon Olsen playlist. I believe that's it for music. If you noticed, for all my color grading, I did exactly the same thing. Increase highlights and shadows, high contrast, darker midtones. I think a lot of contrast gives you a richer sense of place. I think it makes it happier to me because when you make midtones lighter, it tends to fade out the image, which is not really what I want. I don't think they actually make a picture sadder. I think here it makes all the temples and everything more beautiful. So I think that's it. So I miss the adventure so much. Yesterday when I was finishing up editing the series, it kind of felt like I was leaving it again, which was pretty sad. It's been a couple months. and I'll always have those memories. And I'm really pumped to go to Europe, go to Spain, Ireland, the UK. So I'll see you there. See you at LAX tomorrow, which will not be tomorrow. I know this series was super late. Hopefully, it won't be as late this time. Obviously, it's nice to be editing it over summer versus when I have schoolwork and stuff to deal with. Anyway, thanks you guys for watching. I hope you learned something from this special episode. Peace.